Hey Book Dragons, hope that you're all doing well. Xiaomi from Xiaomi's Book Tales here, and today I wanted to bring you a video where I just want to speak about my possible TBR for the upcoming months, especially with autumn approaching. I love the autumn vibes. I don't feel them right now because if you don't know anything about me, I live in a tropical island right now. I'm sweating my ass off, but you know what, that's not the point. That's probably TMI as well. But anywho, today I wanted to bring you sort of books that I would like to accomplish for these following months. Now bear in mind that I am a mood reader, but I do have the feel that I want to read sort of witchy, maybe dark-ish, maybe eerie kind of books. So that's what I'm going to be speaking about. I'm also going to be setting myself a realistic goal because I had around 20 books that I wanted to read, and I was like, you know what, girl, you ain't gonna get to all those 20 books, especially because I haven't been reading the way that I really love. And you know, it has a lot to do with my work and also the fact that it's really hot and I don't even want to do anything sometimes when I come, and I'm just so exhausted as of late because I have 2 jobs. I'm really exhausted, and it's just that I just come and I just lay down and I forget about the world. So yeah, these are books that I would love to accomplish. These are books that I'm really excited for. Some of them I do have them physically, others as they are released throughout the months, because I have one that comes out in November, I have one that comes out in October. So we're just gonna see, right? There are a few that I'm going to be reading through Scribd, so I'm just gonna, you know, fingers crossed that I actually accomplish these books because I'm really excited about these books. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into this video. I think what I'm gonna do is that I have categorized them by middle grade, YA, and adult books, so that's how I'm gonna bring them at you. So the first book that I'm going to be speaking about in the middle grade section is going to be Eva Evergreen and the Cursed Witch. This is the sequel to Eva Evergreen and the Semi-Magical Witch. I really do love Eva. I love everything that she stands for. She's not to your best witch. She's not, you know, great at casting spells, but she does try her best. She doesn't give up. She's very tenacious, very persistent. I really do love those vibes about her and how she's so willing to help everybody at the cost of herself. So she is very selfless. And I think that she has such an adorable creature as well. And her as a human being, I look up to her so much, and I love to recommend her as, you know, a book to read, because she has these vibes of somebody who's not gonna give up no matter what, no matter if she's deemed as the worst witch in existence, even though she comes from a line, especially her mother is well known throughout the witch community, and her mother is very strong. And Eva isn't really that strong, so she goes on, you know, she fulfills her journey. She goes on into this village and she just, you know, tries to tinker around. She helps about a lot, and then, you know, she also goes on a self-discovery journey. So I really did love the first one and also the found family aspects, and I really can't wait to read the sequel because the first one was just so amazing. It did deal a lot more, or was really more character driven than anything else, but I have been told that this one is a little bit more plot driven, a little bit more action packed. Even though the first one had its actions, I really did love the first one because of the found family feel. That was just such a beautiful story, and I can't wait to continue with the next one. The next book that I'm really excited to start is Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega. She wrote Ghost Squad, and I freaking adored that book, and I cannot wait to get into this one. What I know about this is there are roughly around like 5 covens. 7 Salazar is one who wants to participate from the ceremony. This is where young witchlings participate in the Black Moon ceremony, where they actually fall into one of the houses. 7 has practiced her whole life. She's 12 years old, and she wants to join Coven Hyacinth with her best friend. The problem is that something goes wrong, and she does not want to be deemed a spear, which are witches who have lesser power, and they're basically looked upon by everybody in the community. Something happens with 7's ceremony, and she is roughly sent into the spear category, so she has to battle along with 2 other fellow witchlings. What is it called? They have to fight the dreaded night beast, which I'm assuming is that. So I'm really excited to see it. This does sound like found family. That's one of my favorite tropes, so I really can't wait to get into this one. And I've been told that the magic system and also the covens are really fascinating, and I really just can't wait to start this one because it feels like I'm gonna enjoy it. It feels like I want to be part of this world. And I think this one was also mentioned, if you love Nevermore, then you're gonna like this one. And I absolutely adore Nevermore. The final book that I'm going to be mentioning for the middle grade section is The Glass Witch by Lindsay Puckett. This is a debut book. Remember, I might be adding more middle grade as the months progress. I just have to see what is being released. But I'm really excited for this one because we have representation from a chubby girl, and the problem is that we're going to call her Addie because Adelaide, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's we have 12-year-old Adelaide, and she isn't known as the best witch. The problem is that she unfortunately awakens a 300-year-old witch hunter from the grave. Now obviously she has to set everything right, so she has to hunt down 3 magical items in order to be able to put, you know, this witch hunter back to rest. I think that it sounds interesting. I really do love the representation on the cover, and I really can't wait to actually read it. I'm going to read something that it says right here. It says, with the aid of an ancient spellbook, a monster-obsessed neighbor, and a twitchy-nosed furry friend. I can't wait to read this one. It sounds so amazing. I already pre-ordered it. I think that's the only way that I can actually get any kind of books from Amazon, and also pre-order this book. There's a lot of things happening with the author, especially since there is a chubby girl on the cover. A lot of things are happening with representation for that book, and I really want to help this author as much as I can because I really do love the concept of the book, and the cover is just simply gorgeous. So you know what, just pre-order it and add it to your TBR. And if you can't pre-order it and add it to your TBR, then it's always the library. I know many people in the US have that privilege to go to libraries and actually solicit books. I don't have a library near me, so I can't do that. I have solicited some books from my local bookstore. Unfortunately, it never falls through, but you know what, honestly, it's funny how we moved away from rainy sort of ambience feel of noise into somebody mowing the lawn. But you know what, we're gonna roll with it, because if I don't film this today, I'll never be able to film this, and I would love to upload this pretty soon. So we're just gonna continue. We're gonna continue along with, you know, mentioning the books that I would like to read. So the next ones are part of the YA category, and the one that I'm going to be speaking about is Mina and the Undead by Mina. This is one that I recently hauled in one of my previous videos. I really am excited for this one because we have 17-year-old Mina, and she is originally from England. She has come to New Orleans to be with her estranged sister, Libby. The problem is that she lands a part-time job at sort of a haunted mansion, and something happens when she's there. She stumbles upon a body of a girl who has been killed, and she has puncture marks in her neck. Again, she is an enthusiast for horror, for anything vampire related, and once she finds this, she also finds a chunk of hair within the girl's hand. The problem is that that hair resembles Libby's hair. So something happens, and Mina wants to prove that Libby is innocent, and this is where everything ensues, and I'm really excited for this one. I do know that this one has 90s vibes. It has been compared to Buffy the Vampire, or sort of, you know, Buffy the Vampire vibes, and I'm excited for this one. The next book that I'm going to be speaking about is The Witchery by S. Isabel. This is also from a debut author. What I know about this book, and I'm going to be telling you little bits and pieces because I like to go into these books as vague as I can in order to experience the entirety of the book and know a lot more as I am reading. So what I know about The Witchery, even though I do have a little synopsis here just in case, we deal with Logan, and she's struggling with her magic. She doesn't know how to control them. She doesn't understand them that well, so she goes into the Nesmore's Academy Coven, and this is where she is immediately taken under the wing by the infamous 3. And what I think is that the group as a whole sounds really interesting. I think that something is going to happen with the wolves, because it does say that the haunting season has begun, and it also says that once the wolves emerge from the swamps, they're ready to feed. So I don't know if it's that they protect a specific border from the wolves, or if there's a battle between witches and wolves. It just, you know, leaves a little bit vague, that section, the synopsis. I think that the whole cast sounds interesting. I think that each one of them sounds unique. I'm going to read a little bit from the synopsis. It says that Iris is a death witch who wants nothing more than to break the town's curse. Julia is one of the most powerful witches at the academy, but her thirst for power might lead her down a dark path. And then we have Thalia, who is a talented green witch, and she's also on the run from her religious family and a past that still haunts her. So again, I think this is gonna be self-discovery, because I think, like, not only self-discovery but also found family. That's what the synopsis does give me, because they basically are forced to work together in order to stop the haunting season, especially the wolves, from, I don't know, killing everybody within, you know, their reach. Don't know too much about that, but it sounds really fascinating. The next one that I'm going to be mentioning is Lake's Edge by Lindo Clipstone. What I got from this is that this is also a gothic fantasy, and what we have is that Victoria is going to go into Lake's Edge, which is the name of the mansion. It's close to the lake. The problem is that there's a lot of eerie, a lot of darkness, a lot of haunting within not only the mansion but also the adjoining lake and whatnot. And she also discovers that Rowan, who is roughly the owner of the estate, he has killed his entire family when he was a kid. Supposedly he drowned them, but when Victoria, or when Violetta, I think I said Victoria, I don't know, it's Violetta, when she goes into the estate, she discovers that not only monsters aren't what they seem, but there is something more dark, something more sinister, something more eerie happening, and she's also attracted to a darkness that she doesn't know what it is. So again, it just sounds interesting. Next one that I'm going to be mentioning is Wicked Souls by Wismer. This is the second book in the Marionettes series. I'm going to be speaking about the first one because if I speak about the second one, it's going to be completely spoilers. But basically, the Marionettes is a prestigious coven of witches that are sworn to protect vampires, and we have Valerie Darkmoor, who is the main character within the series. Everything is told through her perspective. I do know that other perspectives are going to be added in, but again, I haven't read the second one, so I don't know if it's in the second one or it's in the continuing series. I think that for an indie author, because these are indie author books, it's a great start to a series. If you want to read fantasy stories that are roughly new adult without feeling that YA experience, and also not delving too much into the world building, then this is a great series for you to start in. I personally would have loved a little bit more in-depth details, especially about the academy that Valerie is going to, just because we are expected to know a lot of things from the story without actually giving these details, which are crucial for the story. I think a little bit more, 100 pages more into this book, and like expanding, you know, especially the academy vibes, academy feels, because this is pitched as a vampire academy but for new adults, or for adults, not new adults, for adults. It sounds rather interesting. The pitch is great. I think that a few things could have been tweaked because I really did love the story as a whole. There are a lot of twists and turns that are happening, and this also does end on a cliffhanger. I've been told that this one ends on a major cliffhanger as well. So I haven't read it because I'm waiting for the third one. But I think for indie author books, the writing is great. The action and just the characters as a whole are really fascinating. And I really do love a lot of side characters that are introduced into the story. But again, a little bit more expansion on the details would have been great for me. And just because one of the major subplots really isn't covered in this book, and that's one that's the overarching of everything within the storyline. So I think if that would have just been explained. That was my boy, just in case the tripod moved, that was my boy. But yeah, I think it's a great series. I can't wait to start it and then hopefully continue along because they're great books. Continuing along, I'm going to mention the Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. Notice the bookmark. I did start reading this one and I stopped it just because I really wanted to have the correct vibes for this book, because this book is haunting. I do know that within the Hacienda, which is basically a mansion, there are a lot of eerie things that are happening, things that haven't been explained. There are a few foreshadowings, aspects that are being mentioned throughout the story. I stopped on page 33. This also does deal with dual perspectives. So far we've gotten two perspectives. I don't know if it's going to continuously switch back and forth, but I think that so far the eerie vibes are there. I do know that something happens to Beatriz, which is our main character, and I just want to know a little bit more to the story, what else happens. But again, I really don't want to say too much about this. What I know about this one that I can read from the synopsis is that it says that Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca in this debut supernatural suspense novel set in the aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence, about a remote house, a sinister haunting, and a woman pulled into their clutches. And so far you can tell those eerie aspects, you can tell those haunting aspects. Something is happening within the Hacienda, something that nobody wants to mention as well, because there are little hints that are indicating that something else, you know, is transpiring here. But do they know and do they not want to mention? You know, those little eerie aspects, the little mysterious aspects is the one that kept me intrigued. But unfortunately, because I wasn't having the vibes for it, I put it down, but I hope to be picking it up back soon. Next one that I also know little about is Small Angels by Lauren Owen. Again, this one is about sisterhood and about, I think, about three sisters basically rekindling their sisterhood once again. I think something between them went wrong, especially when one of them is mentioned that she went into the forest and something dark was awoken. So I did read also from a review was that the descriptive nature and the imagery within the story is well done. Like the writing will immerse you within the darkness, the eeriness that the forest has to encompass, and also the dangers that lurk around. So I'm really excited to read this one. Again, the fact that it deals with sisterhood, I really do love stories that deal with sisterhoods as well, and also, you know, getting back into who they were before, you know, and moving forward, also healing along the way. These are stories that I'm all for, and also the fact that there's a little haunting happening within the village. So really that's all I want to know in order to get to this book. I set myself a goal to read at least 1 to 2 classics per year. I still haven't accomplished that, but one of the two that I would like to read, because I have two on my mind. I have Dracula and I also have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is the only edition that I have. I'm not too fond of the font because it's hella small, but we're gonna see. I really do want to read these two classics. We're gonna see which one I get into, but I've always have been intrigued into the storyline of Frankenstein and how is it the story, you know, gives those feels of Frankenstein in general and also Dracula, because these are two characters that I really do love. I've seen Dracula and Frankenstein depicted in so many ways that I'm excited to read, you know, where it actually originated from and how is it that the storyline is set. Another one that I really want to read is The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. This one is one that was a Twitter sensation. Like, I remember reading bits and pieces when she would upload them onto Twitter. Unfortunately, I deleted Twitter and I haven't been there for probably like 2-3 years. And now it was turned into a novel, and what I know about it is that we have a forest. What is it that it's called? A nightmare-filled forest, and it is a contemporary fantasy. These are the two things that I know from it, and that's really all I want to know. So I'm also going to be mentioning Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. This one looks hella creepy, like the cover alone, but this one is a science fantasy horror novel set in the fact that we have a haunted ship. We have a crew that's going to board this haunted ship, but they don't know if the nightmare within that haunted ship has ended, because there are things that have been happening, little creepy, little eerie situations that have transpired while they're basically on that ship, and that alone sounds freaking creepy. Like the fact that you're in space where basically no one can get to you and you board a haunted ship and then nobody can hear you scream, nobody can hear you plead for your life. That just alone sounds just in a sense fascinating, because like the fact that we can go into space and like, you know, get to know the universe, but the fact that it's haunted and it might be the last days of my life and I might die on that ship just because I'm curious. You know, curiosity did kill the cat. In this case it's gonna be literal, but I'm sort of horrified to actually read that story, but I am intrigued because I do want to read more science fantasy and a little bit of horror as well, because I read Pitch Dark. I can't remember the author for the life of me, and I'm gonna write it here, but I love that book so much. It deals with space and also deals with the fact that there is this virus that has, you know, been leaked into the ship and people have become monsters and they're killing everybody, and that just alone sounds creepy as hell, but it does sound immersive. Okay, so yeah, these are all the books that I'm really excited for the following months. If there are any that you share opinions with, any that you would like to read as well, anything that I didn't mention that you would like to read that, you know, might think that it might catch my eye with what I mentioned, then feel free and tell me down below. But I just want to say thank you for watching. Hope that you have a wonderful day and or night, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.